Anime movies are something I want to see more of. I'm not talking about movies with existing anime series like My Hero Academia or Jujutsu Kaisen. However, I did see Zero and that was pretty cool. I'm talking standalone films using animation as their medium, like the original Ghost in the Shell or Akira. There's something awe-inspiring about using animation to tell a story with a film's runtime. It has to immerse and hook you in the beginning to keep you invested. Every frame of animation needs to add important information to the story and conclude with the viewer feeling satisfied. And I can tell you that one film that pulled this off with flying colors is Redline, a 2009 film animated by Studio Madhouse. My name here on YouTube is Polymacho, and it is my immense pleasure for this macho recommendation to introduce you to Redline, one of my all-time favorite movies. In the far distant future, racing is an intergalactic event. Speeding faster than light and crossing the finish line before the competition is the most thrilling show for civilians across the galaxy. For this story, we follow Sweet JP, a young racer with ambition to spare and an old-school approach to hyperspace competition, racing in a classic four-wheel vehicle called the Trans Am, which to his competitors looks like a rinky-dink Matchbox car compared to the hover vehicles and rocket-mounted death machines. But Sweet JP can demolish most of the competition in the first race in the movie, titled the Yellow Line, allowing the victor to advance to the biggest racing event in history, the fabled Red Line. As the conclusion of Yellow Line approaches, Sweet JP and a racer named Sonichu McLaren are neck and neck. The race could go either way, but just as JP gets in the lead and is about to win, we discover forces outside our main character's control sabotage the race, leading to Sonichu winning while JP passes the finish line on a stretcher and lands in bed in the hospital. And this is where the movie begins proper. On TV in JP's hospital room, it's revealed that two famous racers are dropping out of the Red Line as it's taking place on the militaristic planet Robo-World, and one of those slots allows JP to race. But racers will be destroyed on sight. This horrifies JP's mechanic Frisbee, but leads to our main character being all for it, and proudly declares on live television, The movie focuses on the build-up and outcome of the Red Line race, while dealing with the workings of Robo-World and the military secrets they would prefer to lie deep below. You probably noticed already, but Redline looks good. Like, really good. Like if the Sistine Chapel was a movie good. Easily the strongest appeal to get someone to check out Redline is its animation and style. The best reference points I can compare it to are If Beautiful Joe,
Alright!
No More Heroes,
You got it, old man!
and F-Zero
Yes!
were blended together. They all share this sort of over-the-top nature and their use of thick shadows, and especially for the F-Zero case, it makes racing its primary focus, treating it as a kind of expression for our characters. But while I mention these other series as reference points, it's important to remember that Redline is its own thing, and a point of that is how even off the track, the animation looks incredible. It looks like every frame was carefully considered, all well crafted to naturally flow into the next, creating this transfixing and magical visual experience. Check out some of these backgrounds and the throwaway characters, and you'll see a level of quality that is inspiring. Even character movements have a great conveyance to them. One of my favorites is Sweet JP drinking a cup of tea. Just look at how amazing this is. The way the water ripples as he swishes the bowl, and the way he gently slurps the liquid as a minor example, showing his overall good nature. Redline was animated by Studio Madhouse. It took over 7 years to make, and it shows in the best way possible. I couldn't find a copy of the movie in 1080p for footage in this video, so it'll look a lot crisper in other formats. The quality of this film is astounding from an artistic department, but there's also a fine level of quality in its world and characters. Redline accomplishes something that is underappreciated but nevertheless important, and that is creating a feeling of reality in its fiction. The setting has a lot of wacky parts to it, but there's enough details and explanations to make the world follow a sense of logic that is easy to understand. For example, with the racing duo Boing Boing and Bos Bos forming Super Boing, they are from the planet Supergrass, with a princess that can literally do magic. You might be asking why they don't use it to win the race. Well, they want to respect the other racers and their planet by refusing to use it for good sportsmanship. Or explaining the actions of Robo-World, the racers travel to a refugee planet to gear up before racing. Why doesn't the military just blast the planet and be done with it? They usually would, but that particular planet is Robo-World's moon and was signed away to refugees. Any conflict with it would violate the treaty and be considered an act of war, so they have no jurisdiction there. But besides following believable logic in the setting, the movie conveys a sense that we're only seeing a small snippet of this universe. Rather than feeling like a world made of cardboard purely as a vehicle to experience the races, other facets make its setting interesting. The racers of Redline aren't caricatures made for our enjoyment, but feel like real people with their own goals and relationships. Which includes the already mentioned idols from Supergrass, but also characters like Gory Rider, a police officer rumored to have a relationship with his boss, and has also previously arrested other contestants Mickey and Todoroki for reckless driving, and those characters aren't necessarily thrilled to be seeing the officer once again. Or some of the coolest characters in the movie, Lynchman and Johnny Boya, racers who are also bounty hunters cleaning the galaxy of vile trash one villain at a time. Their arch nemesis Psycho Man was also in the Yellow Line race in the beginning. I wish these two had their own show because they're fantastic and I would love to see more of them. Plus their theme song is pretty great.
Go!
And I haven't even gotten around to our main character, Sweet JP. JP is marvelous and easily my favorite character in the movie, besides maintaining a sick pompadour, a sign of an absolutely legendary character in anime. What I love about JP is that this dude is a total sweetheart. At first glance, you would assume otherwise. His design makes you think he'd be the first to throw a punch or start a fight, the sort of guy who takes himself way too seriously in an attempt to come across as a badass. But it's the contradiction in his actions that makes him interesting. His relaxed nature when talking to people, being comfortable expressing his emotions to the female romantic lead Sonoshi McLaren, his respect for his mechanic Old Man Mole, or his complicated friendship with Frisbee. JP may be seen as a criminal in a fixed racing scheme to those watching the race, but it's only when watching him that you know what kind of person he is. I mean, the kind of guy that would spend an evening just looking up at the night sky can't be that bad. If possible, I would recommend watching the movie's English dub because Patrick Seitz kills it as Sweet JP. He nails the relaxed nature of the character when off the track, and the absolute delight when burning rubber. I'll talk about another aspect of this character and the movie soon, but it's important to note that in this galactic race where anything goes, JP refuses to add weapons to his car, as it's a race, not a war, and that crap would ruin his ride. He really cares about the race, and it helps to make you root for him. What makes this movie such a delight to watch is that even though we only have a fleeting moment of time to enjoy it, there's a level of care that makes it feel like it's more than just this race. There are other relationships, planets, and more for the viewer to discover. It's comparable to the world building I mentioned in my Dorohedoro video, where those creating it sat down and fleshed out enough of their setting to feel like there's more than what we're seeing. This level of world building makes it easy and enjoyable to get immersed in this movie. In all my matcha recommendations, I have a deal breaker section where I try to give a heads up on stuff that could turn you off from checking it out, and I'm having a tough time doing so for this one. Because with a movie, it's a shorter time commitment than a video game or a series. It doesn't outstay its welcome for the time it has. The only two things I can say as a heads up is if you're not a fan of over-the-top stuff that doesn't take itself too seriously, then this might not be your thing, and the ending is abrupt the first time you watch it. But that's all I can really think of, and I don't want to force anything else in an attempt to make it balanced with a movie I'm totally biased about. And as always, the decision to check this out is ultimately up to you. So I've watched this movie at least 6 times, and thinking back on it made me realize something. Nearly every racer a part of Redline is doing it for their own reasons. Superboying is promoting their new song Zoom Gears and using the interviews for exposure. Lynchman and Johnny Boya are working with the representatives of the race, and Best Brawls of Lynchman Volume 7 is promoted at the end of their showcase. Machine Head adores the fame of being #1 multiple times. Mickey and Todoroki want revenge on Gory Rider. And JP is racing because he loves to race. There's no marketing purpose. It's not for clout. It's not even to be known as the best. It's because he loves it so much that he can't imagine doing anything else. In the first race of the movie, The Yellow Line, JP was planning on winning. Damn the consequences with the mob he's stuck in the pocket of. And I think he could have done it if Frisbee didn't intentionally sabotage. It feels great to root for this character because he wants to win the race because he's a racer, and there's something so pure in that. And it's the perfect reason why Sonoshi is the romantic counterpart of the film. They both share a passion for racing while others are doing it for some type of gain. And it was actually Sonoshi that made JP a racer in the first place. A flashback shows a young JP, Frisbee, and some other kids watching Sonoshi race as she crashes her makeshift car. JP shouts some encouraging words along the lines of, "You're driving awesome, don't worry about the crash, it happens to everyone." Sonoshi, with tears falling, attempts to pull their car back into the road, saying, "You don't get it. I'm gonna race in Redline someday and I can't afford to waste time like this. I'm not like you amateurs who are all talk. Why don't you quit watching and get out here on the track with the rest of us?" And as she sits, the car passes and she maneuvers herself back on the road, to where JP watches in admiration, and I imagine that's the moment he knew she was right. And it was only after viewing this so many times that it got me thinking. It's easy to sit on the sidelines, now more than ever. With the internet, you see people living their best lives all the time, or at least trying to project it, going on wild vacations, achieving a level of success that you always dreamed of, meeting a bunch of cool people you always watched, hoping you could do what they do. But then you look at where you are, and you're nowhere close to that. You look at how high they're up in numbers and status, doing something you dream of doing, but the thought of starting hasn't even crossed your mind. It seems impossible, it's too difficult, and no one would care. Plus, it could lead to ridicule and humiliation. Better to let it stay a perfect dream. Might as well load up another video or post and see someone else's success. And I know that feeling a whole bunch. I was in that mindset for years. I just assumed that those people were meant to be where they are, and it was my role to just sit on the sidelines. But watching Redline again reminded me that isn't true. Life is too short to be stuck in a fantasy where you don't put that dream in action. If there's something you always wanted to do but haven't got around to it out of fear of the outcome, you should give it a whirl anyway. Chances are it's not going to turn out the way it seemed in your head, but that's okay. Redline was the directorial debut of Takeshi Koike. As noted earlier, the film took 7 years to create and had a budget of over $30 million. And when it came out, it only made $8 million at the box office. The movie was considered a commercial flop. From a marketing perspective, Redline was a failure. But you know what? That's okay, because Takeshi made other stuff. He even got to direct multiple movies for Lupin III, a series that's been popular for over 50 years. I don't know Takeshi personally, but my guess is he's so proud of Redline even if it didn't succeed commercially. He put himself out there, and the quality of his work and passion still shows even to this day. There's a reason why I want to share this with you besides it looking incredible. And he couldn't have done that if he just watched on the sidelines. There's a pain you feel when there's something you dream of doing and never act on it. It eats away at you in those quiet moments when you see someone trying that thing. It makes you feel pathetic and bad about yourself. And as silly as it's gonna sound, I had that with YouTube. I always wanted to talk about video games or stuff I really cared about with people who were interested, and I always kept putting it off because I was scared. I didn't think I was going to be well received, or I wasn't going to be successful because I had no idea what I was doing, or even that I wouldn't upload often enough, so I should just kiss my dreams goodbye and watch someone else who had achieved it instead. I've been doing YouTube constantly for a year and on and off for a couple, and it's certainly been a learning process. A lot of trying to figure out what I want to do with it. While I've got a long ways to go, I still feel proud of myself for getting in the ring anyway, instead of just sitting back and never making an attempt. There's a line in the book The War of Art, and it comes after the author describes one of his failures. He was in his 40s, divorced, decided to be a writer, and wrote his first ever screenplay for the movie King Kong Lives. It released, and it was a flop. Everyone in the theater hated it. Even the ticket guy said the movie sucked. The author was pretty bummed about it, but his buddy asked if he would quit. He said hell no, and his friend responded with, "Then be happy. You're where you wanted to be, aren't you? So you're taking a few blows. That's the price for going in the arena and not on the sidelines. Stop complaining and be grateful. It's better to be in the arena getting stomped by the bull than to be up in the stands or out in the parking lot." Those words are pretty brutal, but it's also true in a way, because even if the worst comes to light and you fail, damn it, you tried, and you made it to the arena, and that's so much more than those watching can ever say. You had the guts to put yourself out there and should be so proud of yourself, whatever form that may be. And granted, I may not know you personally, but I hope you know I'm proud of you too. Redline is an amazing movie with incredible animation, great world building, and fun characters. But it's also a declaration of getting out there and trying your best to accomplish what you always dreamed of. It's going to be difficult, but the sooner you try, the farther away you are from the sidelines. And that's a feeling that will be yours and yours alone, no matter what happens. For this reason and more, Redline is easily a macho recommendation. Thank you so much for watching. My name here on YouTube is Polymacho, and if you want to be notified for any future macho recommendations I make or other videos, I would be honored if you would subscribe and check those out. Or if you have any suggestions for media that you care about, feel free to share them. If you decide to watch Redline, I really hope you enjoy it. Thanks again, and have a great rest of the day.